thank you for joining us, man. Welcome to the WAB.
I'm happy to be here, man. This is awesome.
So how's quarantine been treating you, man?
Oh, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
An honest answer right at the game.
Absolutely terrible, yo. Yeah. How about you guys?
I can't complain. I'm still working, so.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm good. Yeah.
Hey, making the best of it as we can. I'm out of work at the moment, but you know, soon to be. I work in the restaurant industry, so as soon as Phase 3 opens up, we'll see what's going on with that.
Yeah, I don't mind being inside. I could do work inside or outside.
Nice, man. Good spirit here. Yeah, I got some. I train a client online, but like I have clients that I train in the city, so I ended up leaving the city. So it kind of just threw me off.
Like a workout thing, like you tell email them what to do.
Yeah. Like I get on now I'm doing like a video thing. We're just like doing it that way, but I really like to just get out and move around, man. Like, so this is it's different.
Yeah, you gotta stay home and just communicate on emails and such.
Yeah,
on video calls.
Zoom, yeah.
So is that your main like profession? You're a personal trainer?
Yeah, that's my main profession, and then I'm also a musician. So
awesome.
Spent some time doing some music and overseas and all that.
That's All My Friends Are Stars?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm in a band with them. Been on tour to Sweden a couple times, and so it's like kind of balancing the music with the fitness. So it's like I can't really have I would like to have a full-time job, but then I gotta go and I want to chase the music, so it's like this constant battle.
That's an awesome passion thing to hear.
It's like you have that battle of like reality versus like following your passion as well and trying to make the best of both of them.
Yeah, bro, it gets when it's good, it's really good. It's great, and then sometimes it's like when it's not great, it's like, man, like it's a struggle,
It's part of the adventure.
Yeah, it's part of the adventure. That's true.
What do you play?
Oh, I play the bongos, guitar, and I'm like a rapper, singer, mostly rap.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, I was checking out your Instagram. I saw a couple of videos on there. Really good stuff, man.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate that, man.
So now that we're like starting to get out of quarantine, how has that been affecting your work, or are you still, not really getting anything done?
Yeah, it's for me, it's just been like it's been like a whole switch around. It's just been like it's really affected my spirit, I'll say. Like this whole thing is just like it's placed me back at home with like parents, and like I love my parents, but like I don't really want to be here. Like you know what I mean? To be honest, hate to be the downer of the podcast.
Yeah, man, that's the honesty. I love the honesty, man.
Yeah.
It's like I love my parents, but they got this. They got that older mentality of like, when you get older, you gotta leave. So it's kind of like, all right, well, I left, and then they still kind of feel like, you're supposed to be out on your own. So it's like, hey, if that's how you feel about me, that's how I'm feel about you. If you don't want me to be here, then I don't want to be here.
So that just adds that little tension right there when you're back in that close quarters.
Yeah, it just adds a little bit of tension. Like I love my fam, but I can't live with them long.
I know exactly what you're saying, bro. We all know exactly what you're talking about.
Everybody knows what you're saying. Nobody wants to admit that. Everybody wants to be like, I love being back home. At the bottom of it, everybody's got that little thing where it's like, fuck. Yeah. I hate being back here having to share this bathroom with them or whatever it is.
Yeah, so that's that. So yeah, it's been thankfully I had some clients that still reached out, and I trained them all over the phone. But I think a lot of people's spirit right now is just worried about other stuff, and it's just, even for myself, it's just like I just don't even feel really motivated to boost up other people's spirits. Like I kind of just need to boost up my spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's truth. Yeah,
So,
a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah. It's had a real effect, but I also feel like the social part is actually what's affecting me the most. So like, you know, it's just like not having that social life, being of service to people, and like, you know, when I'm in the city and I'm training, I'm also going like a vocal class, so I'm always around like artists that are working on their craft. So like not having that like community is really challenging.
Oh wow.
Yeah, as humans, we
Don't
just
really hear
crave that community aspect. You know,
Yeah.
we need that interaction, that stimulus with other people. You know, and without that, you know, it's kind of like we've all pretty much been on solitary in a sense for like the last few months. You know, and that really just that can already mess with you in a sense, and then add in everything else going on just in the social climate, and
Absolutely.
I can understand how that can definitely block any kind of motivation to do other things, you know.
Yeah.
Like working, it's hard enough to work out as it is. We can all be honest. You know, it is hard enough.
Yeah.
It's at this point, it's just like
This is
One
the
more
perfect
thing.
time though to do it. This is the perfect time
it
to do it.
is the perfect. Yeah, I worked out earlier, but then it's like I want to work out for me, you know, and like to like think about, oh, I'm gonna like, you know, strategize how this workout's gonna go, and then edit the video, and all of it makes sense. But like when I'm out there, I just want to go and do it and just do it for me. I don't want to add any other stress, you know. So
So do you find when you're like, it sounds like you do a lot of like having like videos for your training and all, since you're doing the virtual side of it right now. Do you find it harder, or like your workouts take a lot longer because you're trying to video it as you go, instead of like when you might just be, you know, getting to a workout, like you're hitting it more intense throughout like set to set, but because you're videoing it, it takes you longer in between?
I think I'm just like an improv guy. Like I benefit well when I have an audience.
Okay.
So if I have somebody who's there to like communicate with, then the inspiration draws up, and it's like, all right, we're going boom, 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 boom. But if I don't have that initially, then it's just like it's just all in my head, and I don't really know who I'm communicating it to, or you know, it's not. I guess I'm not really a strategist, or you know, I could benefit from.
It's all about like the interactivity.
Yeah. For me, if that is like it, you know, even with music too, it's just like I could play a beat, and you know, if I'm not around anyone or have somebody to like, you know, interact with, nothing will come up. But if it's like if I have an audience, then it's like, you know,
That inspiration is there.
makes sense.
Yeah. So
that's
the chicken and egg thing is kind of, I'm struggling with that.
It's a great perspective because you really hear different type of people. Like you know yourself that you're the type of person that thrives on that socialization. Some people, like I was saying before, like I'm all right with staying indoors, and like so a lot of people are just okay with, you know, being in more homebody and such. And that's why the world is different. I love it, you know.
Yeah.
So now, how has all this affected All My Friends Are Stars?
Oh man, that's like that's the whole other thing. It's like, man, I don't even know if we're gonna get back together or not. We're all, two of them are in Sweden. I have a flight booked to Sweden, and then the other bandmate is in New York.
We're in Sweden, yeah.
Gothenburg.
Oh, that's awesome. I went to Sweden like a summer ago. It's a pretty cool place.
Yeah.
They have that crazy music festival every summer, right? That they go nuts in the streets.
Yeah. What's it called?
Or is that Norway? Or Denmark?
Gothenburg too, though. Yeah, I was there I was there in the summer. They had a pretty big one. They had some big artists come through. Where'd you go in Sweden?
I went to Stockholm, of course.
Okay, nice.
And then I forgot all the different little names, but I just went all over around Sweden and Denmark.
Nice.
Around there,
nice.
Copenhagen and such. Took that big train all the way down.
Yeah,
It's
nice.
fun. It's a dope place, man. They know how to live. It's like very peaceful. Everyone's chills, you know. Everyone
Good
speaks
vibes.
English.
Everyone.
Great vibes. Great vibes.
Good
Yeah.
Yeah. So with the band, it just feels like I'm on the floor, and thank you. It just feels like two of my bandmates are doing two of my bandmates are doing their own thing right now, and it looks like they got a nice pocket. So I don't wanna do anything that'll like slow them down or change anything that they already have in their formula. And there is like a lot of like there's just a lot of like tension. There's a lot of tension within the band right now. So it's like this in between phase of like my life. Like, yo, we got something good going on here, but internally we got issues. And even though we have a lot of external successes, we got like a fan base and people that support us out there. But you know, it's just like I don't know if that's gonna be the move long term if we don't fix some internal issues. So. But I hope that we always stay friends. Like I still love everybody. It's just, you know, what it is.
That's probably the bigger thing right there. You know, instead of over the band staying together, at least keeping the friendship in some way. You know.
Yeah. So
he'll love to make that music, though.
Yeah, and that's like I'm coming to that realization where it's like, okay, like I got to get back to just doing it for me. And you know, before I was in the band, I was more so like into just doing everything by myself, and I think I've benefited from like working around other people, but I got to get back to just like learning how to do it, you know, just like getting back to the way I used to do it, even though it's not as fun sometimes.
Right. No, there are definitely benefits to like having a band. You have like the like, all right, so like there's someone else to offload some work to. There's also the whole interactivity where like I'll do something and then their response to it is something that's a whole lot of fun, and you know that's you know one of the most fun things about having a band. But then there's the whole like, hey, I expect certain things of these people that they're not really quite producing the way I expect it, and then you have to like curb your expectations and all that stuff. So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Plus, the bands are better because at least that way, if you don't have any weeds, someone will always have some, you know?
Someone always has some.
It's like that, you know, law of probabilities right there.
Yeah, man.
Damn, I've never been to Sweden or overseas at all, really.
You said you're in Gamlestan?
Oh, Gothenburg.
Gothenburg. How long were you there?
Right. I was there a month in August, and then another month in October. We ended up making some things happen in August. Where, you know, come back and do some more.
How do you manage things like that?
My bandmates actually they were already out there doing it, so I met them along the way in a vocal class, and we just clicked. Like even before they were, I guess they consider themselves like the duo trio, kind of just working on music. All my friends are stars, and then we linked up. I was going to vocal class, and I didn't know anything about them. I just gravitated to them, just like as friends, and we just started hanging out and you know, freestyling when we were walking. Awesome. Oh, link up by Central Park. Oh, like stuff like that, like it was super organic.
That's
awesome.
Like,
that's the best ones when they just kind of like produce like, themselves.
Real friends.
Yeah. Like there was no like Instagram checking. It was like it was just like, hey, link up, yo, where you at? Oh, yo, meet me over there by like Hale and Hardy. It was like, all right, and then we just make it work. It's like, you're in the city? Yeah, I'm in the city. All right, cool. It's like because everyone from my band is not from New York City. So the girls from Elmont, one of the guys is from Connecticut, and the other guy is from St. Albans. So it's just like for everybody to just meet up in New York City is just like, but not be from there. It's like, it's kind of, y'all all with it too, huh? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, St. Albans and Elmont aren't that far from the city. That's pretty, it's not horrible. You can shoot right there.
Yeah.
And now you were living in the city, but now you're back home with the parents for
I was living in the city. Yep. I was living in the city for 2 years. Hopefully I'll go back. This whole Corona thing is ridiculous.
It's rough, man.
It's really rough. But yeah, I got 2 roommates in the city, and it's been a heck of a ride. I've got to experience like living in the city, and I've also got to experience living in Long Island and commuting. Also, you know, done the overseas thing.
Living Long Island, commuting to the city like for work.
I was gonna say that's probably number 3 on the list of what you just went through.
That was the hardest one. That was the.
Rather commute to Sweden than from Long Island to the city.
Every day, man. That stuff. Where you guys from? Where you guys reside?
I'm not far from like St. Albans and Elmont. I'm like right around that area.
Okay, cool. Where you at?
I'm by Rosedale.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know exactly where you at. Yeah.
I'm just like just in between the two of them.
How do you go to the city often?
Not so much anymore. I used to go to the city a lot more. Like we were talking to another buddy of ours before about longboarding, and back when I used to longboard a little more, I used to love going into the city and riding around there. Al used to come with me for some longboarding over by Chelsea Piers and stuff like that.
Nice.
It was fun.
Yeah. I haven't been out there for a while.
It's close by to me. I live in Flushing.
Okay.
It's really close.
Yeah, my grandma, and my aunt were in Flushing. Forest Hills, actually.
Oh, nice. Queens.
Yeah. Easier commute. Much easier.
Yeah, Queens to the city is nothing.
Queens is a melting pot. The real melting pot.
You don't even gotta take the railroad. You can hop over the hillside
subway.
and grab a train. Yeah, just grab the subway in.
Yeah. I love the railroad, though.
Bro.
Railroad's like 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
I'm over here right by the Synergy where we met, bro.
Yeah. That's where it all started, man. That's where it all started.
So
man.
I guess that debunks the myth that Omar never actually goes to the gym, because you've seen him there, huh?
Omar was pretty consistent back in the day.
Back in the day. Back in the day. A very long time ago.
You haven't changed much.
I gotta get on it, man. Gotta get on it.
Yeah, man. So this whole Corona thing has just got me like really just reanalyzing my life. How about you guys?
I think that's kind of slapped all of us in the face and made us all sit back and think about what's going on and what's next.
I mean, even my job, everything is completely different about how we handle stuff. You know, right now is like rental return season. I manage a music store, so this time of year, people are bringing instruments back. Used to be we would take it, check it, hand them a receipt. Now, what I've been doing is, first of all, I'm the only person there. I tell them to put the instrument over in a pile on that side, come to the desk, I print out a receipt, and then I have a whole other procedure I go through. That's just, it's a little different. I don't touch the instrument for 3 days just because, you know, I read on Google that Corona stays on surfaces for 3 days. So just take whatever precautions I can.
Hey, you gotta play it safe, though.
Yeah.
You gotta play it safe.
Well, it's crazy. Like, even thinking about any of the industries going forward, like, you know, you think about music, you know, with packing a room, you know, for a crowd. Like, are you even going to be able to do that safely going forward? Are they going to do limited capacity? And, you know, like for restaurants, like we're already, when I do end up going back to work, it's like, dang, you're going to have to wear the masks, the gloves, do the spacing, all the, you know, extra layers of it. And like, I agree, safe side, got to play the safe side. But it's just like, man, who knows what everything's going to hold going forward, what impact it's going to have on us. Could change the whole shit up.
Facts.
And I just heard the stock market fucking plummeted the other day. What, yesterday?
What, like a few days ago?
It took a big shit on everybody.
Yeah.
Last Monday it was awesome, and then Tuesday just...
Yeah, I've been watching some economists talk, man. They're not talking too positively lately.
No, the recovery is going to take a minute, definitely. But, you know, the market's still there. It'll always be there.
I wish I knew more about, like, all the economics and stuff to speculate about it.
Yeah.
I'm not educated enough on it.
I wish I
Especially
cared
the
more.
stock market.
Right now, the feds are just printing money, man. And then we're going to... We're eventually going to have to pay that debt back, and it's going to be terrible in the future, you know? The feds are just printing money and right now paying money into businesses, doing the unemployment. They're also, like, about to start buying stock, like, ETFs and, like, funds and stock markets just
which is, like, illegal. It's, like, illegal to do that, but they're...
Yeah, it's...
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but they're going to let it slide for
them to hold security. You know, you don't want the government holding shares of companies and shit like that. Like, they can start controlling it like that.
They're buying back up.
Oh, wow.
Yo, you guys want to borrow my tinfoil hats? Because sounds like we're headed down my conspiracy road right here.
Hey, you talking to one here, bro. At this point,
Get the range.
At this point, if you're not a conspiracy theorist, like, I don't even know.
No, even if you're not agreeing with like this conspiracy or that conspiracy, if you don't have a conspiracy theory in your head, you are not paying attention to something. Like something is like
you living in another planet.
Ooh, there's too much stuff going on where it's like, come on.
It's so much information. I don't know what to believe in.
Right. It's like we're over here like, man, all we want to know is the facts. Give us the information. And they're like, oh, you guys want information? No problem. Everybody give them different information.
Everybody.
Oh man.
That's crazy.
Can't believe
man.
it.
But as somebody who really doesn't have any experience in any of like the politics or economy or stuff, like I know nothing about any of that stuff, you know, so I can't even pretend to. All I am is like just like a regular, uneducated, barely educated, you know, like American citizen type person. And even I'm over here like, what the fuck is going on right now, man? Like, there's some weird shit going. But at the same time, we living through some weird ass, historical ass times, no matter how you look at it. Like, at the end of the day, like, all the shit that's going on now that we're living through is going to be in textbooks and shit. Like, wherever the dust settles, there's going to be textbooks talking about the shit we're living through. And we're going to have kids that are going to ask us, like, hey, you were actually around during, like, you know, all of that?
Are we going to keep using textbooks, though?
What's that like? Well, digital
Man,
or
I just bought a
implants in
textbook.
your Google glasses.
That's
you know, you got to
exactly, yeah.
update your Google glasses every year. $6,000.
Yo, it's incredible, man. It's incredible how fast and like how things are moving. You
Was
guys
it always like this, you think? During the, like, 30 years ago, 40 years ago? Was it always this pace? Or do we just feel like it's this pace because of technology right now?
Well, one of the biggest things with
Maybe.
technology now is that there's just so much more content being created, so much more being recorded that we just have access to more things to really process. Whether this stuff was going on at the same pace, there's so much more to, what's the word I'm looking for? To consume and to try to understand.
I think it's definitely a faster pace because of technology, you know, like because it's a smaller world. Like, you know, years ago you didn't instantly see videos of something happening.
Right.
You know, you might hear about it like weeks, months, whenever it actually travels that far, if it gets any kind of headlines. You know, now, you know, even if something doesn't get the headlines, like it's gonna make its way out there in some way. You know, you got too much and too many people, you know, that are too many eyes and cameras. You know, so it kind of inevitably speeds up the pace of everything that's going to happen. But you know, that could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing, you know. But it definitely,
We all got to see the boom of the internet, you know, and how that came out and how we are now.
That's why I think we're all just living in a simulation, man.
Yeah.
Like if you
Who
just
knows
go
in
back,
20 years?
think about all the shit that you've like actually lived through. Like that's changed since like when we was kids, spinning a fucking phone around to call your friends and shit, you know, like to now what's going on. Like we done seen a lot of shit, man.
In the future.
Seems like we in some Truman Show shit, you know, some Matrix. Matrix was a troll by the computers. They were just like, we got them so good, we can show them what's going on. They
We
won't
can
even
show
know.
them what we're doing to them, and they're not going to do anything about it.
They don't give a fuck. Put a movie out.
Damn.
But this corona shit is gonna eventually pass over somehow. That's what's gonna happen, man. It's gonna magically disappear like all the other ones. It just magically disappear. No vaccine needed. It's just like, oh, there's no more fucking cases. And then that's
Partially
and
has.
you'd be like,
It's already gotten a little bit of like that numbness by society where it's like, oh, bigger shit's happening. Like that's
if
kind of
I
like.
get it, I get it. I don't care.
It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. But yeah, man, this is what happens when you have corporations and all these powerful people, man, monopolizing, and this took years in the making to make it this way, man. This is.
And even now, when everybody's like paying attention and trying to fight back against this stuff, the companies are still just getting bigger in this time somehow. The monopolies are just getting more power, just behind the veil. It's so
Yeah, it's
scary.
like even, yeah, like they got like They got like trainers that you can go and like put them on the mirror and then work them out with them.
That Google Mirror shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're
I'm
talking
like,
about.
yo.
Yeah,
They were pushing that shit hard, remember? During the, what was that, the NBA Finals and the Super Bowl or some shit? They were pushing that shit hard.
I lost the client to that already. I'm like, oh, man, damn.
Bro, I saw that. I was
crazy.
like, this is some shit right here.
That feature shit.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But we're all going to have to learn how to adjust to, you know, how to pivot and learn how to refine ourselves to keep up. Just got to keep up.
Yeah, like we've seen so much change already, and yet we haven't even seen some of the big changes that are about to come. If you think about like all of the AI that's actually working its way into like everyday production. Like before it was like, all right, yeah, I don't gotta worry. AI is just gonna like, yeah, make cars or some shit. Now it's taking jobs from like personal trainers in a sense, you know? They got a mirror that can teach you how to do this. You don't need to leave your bedroom, you know? It's little by little, like it's scary. Google Home. Everybody's got a Google Home or an Alexa or a Siri, and everything that we're asking it and getting questions and answers for, that's just training that AI so that it'll be able to adapt to another market. Because it's like, oh, how are you gonna make this know how to work in retail or something else? It already does, you know? We've already asked it every question it needs to know.
Amazon.com.
Google has already been programmed over the past
That's modern
20
day
years.
retail.
You know, it knows exactly what we're going to ask before we ask it.
Right.
You know, look at it. It's like when you start typing into Google and it knows the question within the first three. It's like, huh? That's some sketchy shit, man.
Yeah, man. I was watching. There's this guy on YouTube. His name is Jimmy Dore. Have you guys heard of him?
Jimmy Dore is
Freaking
scary
man.
and hilarious.
Yeah, he's the man. I really appreciate him for just with the info he puts out. But he had some girl come on like a couple weeks ago, and the girl, she's on this. I think her website's called The Last American Vagabond, and she said she found like some corporate entity of super powerful people all came into like one powerful room, and they drafted this like method of how they were going to compete with China on AI. And the reason that they have to compete with China on AI is because basically their argument was that if they don't keep up with China right now, China will forever lead the AI industry for forever. They will monopolize it and they will control it forever. So basically, according to this document, a couple powerful people got in a room together and drew up a plan of how they would need to execute getting back into the race. And one of the parts of the plan would be to crash the entire market.
Damn.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like you'd have to crash the entire economic market and like
In order to backtrack them.
just slow things down globally and it's ridiculous.
Damn, that's crazy.
Illuminati
Like,
guys.
you gotta take a hit in order to like pull them back from any progress they're making ahead. Damn.
The way I see it, I think that Silicon Valley, I think New York City is going to turn into another Silicon Valley.
Really?
You know,
Companies?
I think so. I think it doesn't make sense for these people who are trying to compete to create an entirely new infrastructure when they already have one right here on the shore. Like they need to be able to like import and export and do all this stuff, and they need transportation with the trains. Where else are you going to get that other like on American soil? You'd have to spend time building it. And right now they don't want to spend time building it. They don't want to
build it. It's already here. Yeah.
It's already here. It's in New York City. They got the trains. They got apartments. They could turn all those things into factories once more. They just need to gentrify the shit out of it. And you're seeing right now, there's a lot
It already started in Brooklyn.
People are leaving New York right now. It's like
Yeah. And right now, everything that's going on, you know, no matter how you feel about it, like the exact effect of it is it's driving people away from cities and deterring people from buying property in cities, and
It's
value
making
of
it
real
hard.
estate is slowly taking a little bit of a hit right now, you know?
Yeah, it's making going back to the suburbs more appealing. And you know, God forbid they say like a food shortage like they were talking about a few months ago, or They talk about, they just keep making the conditions harder and harder for the city. People are going to want to leave. And that's,
Right.
I'd be playing into the hands of exactly what they want, just
force you out so they can use it for what they want to use it for.
Unfortunately, you got to compete with China.
That's a world domination thing, huh?
Tony, you came to the right podcast for that talk, bro.
Yeah, you just fucking stepped into
China been trying to take over for a little bit now. Yeah.
China took over already. Yeah, we let them take over.
Yeah, we fell back with all our foreign policies, and we were just mad soft on it, and just they've been growing.
They took all their shit. They took the world's shit for all these years to set themselves up where they are now.
To take Hong Kong back. They're about to move into Taiwan soon after that, and then if they move into Taiwan, in a sense, like they close off that entire section from us, in a way. And it just changes the entire demographic of foreign policy once that happens. Like, it's scary shit, man.
Yeah.
And that affects, like, trade. And then trade affects, like, pricing on all the goods. Like, even right now.
I find it so funny, like, when I think about all of the things that I've seen, all the narratives I've heard, and how opposite it is. Like for instance, like, when I was, like, growing up, you see all these, like, poor African kids on BET. And then, like, now it's just like, you look at Africa, it's like a amazing place to be. It's like so much culture, so much music, so much innovation and technology coming out of Africa in certain countries. There's a lot of growth there, right? You wouldn't have thought it would be like that, looking at all those, like, desolate images and stories that we saw as kids. And also, it's like, thinking about China, it's just like, the narratives that I was told is like, oh, China's this place where they sleep 20 in one room and they're all work slaves. It's like, it's not actually like that. Like, these people they have jobs, and, like, their standard of living apparently is, like, a lot better,
I've never been to China. I really can't. I really can't even speculate. Mine it would all be speculation for me on that front.
That's actually kind of similar to, like, what JB and I were talking about earlier. We were talking about headlines. Headlines kind of just tells you what they think you wanna read until you actually read the article, and it's just like, this is not what the fucking headline says. It makes sense. Like, they're pushing. There's a high potential of them pushing a narrative that they want us to see versus what is actually going on.
The saddest part about it is that most people's attention span is very short. And that's why, like, most people will see a headline, skip through the first couple of, like, sentences and kind of fade off onto something else and just run with it as, like, all right, that was a factual type of thing, without getting to the rest of it, where it, like, might elaborate on certain things or give you context that might be like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up. This context is totally different from what I'm getting on this thing, and that doesn't line up with the videos that regular people are putting up. It's like, what the hell is going on here, man? Like, and that's what I hate about when we say we get so much information. It's like, it forces us to have to decide where do we put the credibility. Like, who do we hold as, like, our standard of news? Which forces everyone to kind of have a divide between ourselves. Because it's like, now we're not just divided on, like, the actual problem or topic, but we're also divided by what news do we follow on it. It's like layers on layers of division that just doesn't help any of the cause for anything. And it seems tactical in a sense, almost like it's all just one big game, and they're just they're just pushing us sheep whichever way they want it to move for their pockets at the moment, for whoever's at the top. But I don't know, man. It just sucks that we have to decide on our own, like, oh, do I believe this news, that news, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and then you find out that most of those are all owned by one big tech company.
Right. And
then it's like, damn, now how much credibility do I give this? Because this is all, they're all on the tit of, this is their check, like, sucks, man. It just sucks right now with how much power the big tech has in order for the influence. Like, now Google is getting accused of censorship here in certain things that they're for their feed. And that's just like how it's in China.
Oh,
where, you start to, that falls, it falls into a section of, like, freedom of speech in a way, because, you're censoring our access to information on platforms which are supposed to just be free access to information in a way.
Yeah, that is absolutely, I agree with that, man. Technocracy, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and then you see stuff like Apple, you know, moving their shit over to China, giving China access to servers, but they, you know, meanwhile they don't give the access over here.
We need the jobs here. We need those jobs.
But everybody's gonna buy the new Apple phone when it drops. They don't care that they moved all those jobs overseas.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck.
It's cheaper that way.
But that's capitalism, and that's the way, like, free market, free trade is. You know, you can go wherever it's cheapest work and such, and that's just the way the world works. You know.
Absolutely. It's just sad that people don't pay attention more to, like, that line you hear in every fucking movie where there's a conspiracy of corruption. Follow the money. Like, don't pay attention to all this shit. Like, follow the money. And you see, like, the money is just, they don't care about what we think or the policy. Like, the big companies just care about the market. Like, where can I make the money? I'm going to cater to that. I don't care about, you know, saying this or this policy or that policy. Like, whichever one works for my market sales, that's what I'm going to follow. And anybody under me is going to follow that.
Capitalism. It's dangerous, bro.
I love it.
I love capitalism.
I love it.
I think it's got its downfalls, you know. I think the biggest issue with capitalism is the influence it has on government.
Yeah.
On gain.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's actually.
I think you're right on that, and I think the biggest problem with that is that there's a fake layer of transparency that we accept, like as if we actually know what's going on in government because we have the Freedom of Information Act and we can go and Google and get all the things from every Senate and congressional hearing, but nobody does that shit. You know, like we have this weird layer that like, oh yeah, like it's all good.
I was talking to a friend, he's an older guy, and he was just like, man, like, I was taught civics in high school. I'm like, I didn't get civics in my high school.
They don't have that no more.
No.
No, they don't have. And then me and him, we were going to do some research. A lot of the Republican states still do.
Not the blues. Not the blues.
Not the blues. A lot of them are mandatory to still take civics, but the blues are not. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. But it's just like that kind of like, you know, it's just like, you know, trust that we are the good guys, so we got this. You know, you don't need any, you don't need to partake. We got this. We're fighting the good fight. You know, but if
for the greater good.
If you were fighting the good fight, then you would empower people to fight the good fight with you. It's such a.
Yeah, you see a lot of the blue states right now are the ones that are struggling with a lot of what's going on.
It's ridiculous.
And it's like those are the states that are governed by the party that everyone is saying is going to be the savior for what's to come. But like, those are the states that have this government in a sense already on the more local level, and it's not working, it seems. But just blindly stick with it, and we're still the good guys type of thing. And it forces guys like me that never wanted to get into politics or pay attention to any of this shit. I'm just a fucking dumbass stoner that likes to have fun and doesn't think that life should be about working and all. But I understand you have to work in capitalism for money. You know, you just have to accept how much you want to put in and how much you're willing to get out of it. But now I'm being forced to actually have to care about politics and dive into this stuff. Because it's getting a little scary. Like, it seems like there's a lot of power up top that's moving, but it might not be moving in the right direction with this whole push going on. You know, you'd hate to see this whole thing be for nothing and none of the actual stuff change going forward.
I can't get down with him, man. I can't get down with him. I can't get down. It's honestly, I'm looking at some people that are trying to make a third party, man, and like, I'm
right
interested.
now is the moment you need a third party. Right now is the moment for someone else to step in, you know, and just clearly talk to the people in a sense and separate themselves from, you know, the too big in a way.
There's this group. They're called Our Revolution LA. They were Our Revolution is the people who got Bernie on, who was behind Bernie this entire last 8 years.
You have Omar listening.
Yeah. So Our Revolution, LA. The guy, I think his name is Jerry Perez. I watched his video, and him and a couple other people part of the organization, they basically broke down that it was like 73% of Our Revolution doesn't feel confident in the Democratic Party, that they will play fair, essentially. So even if they do like build this grassroots to just hand it over to the Democratic Party, it's just senseless at this point is what they come up with. 73 or 77% of the people in the organization said that. And then they said, basically, Bernie, he essentially like kind of went against his own motto, which was, he said that he wasn't for taking big donations, corporate money, but then he changed the way his organization is structured on the taxes, so now that they can take anonymous corporate money instead of being able to take transparent money from everyone, and that was like complete, like a spit in the face of their people, and so then I saw a couple of people part of the organization. They broke down what happened, and they just like at this point they're just like, we know what's going on with democracy, with the Democratic Party. We don't want no part of it, and we're trying to do this joint on our own. So I was watching them. I've been following them. I'm in their email subscription list, and I'm watching them on YouTube. And I'm interested to see how they're going to move forward. They said they want to get a presidential candidate by 2024, so they're going to need a lot of grassroots and all that. That's something that I feel like, maybe it'll strike some new passion in me to be like, at least we're fighting towards something productive,
Right, something that's a little bit more of
with that, man.
More of a new, in a sense, like a new team that's like more evolved to like our generation's thoughts on things. Because, Democrats and Republicans, like even all of their policies and stuff evolve over time because you have to. You can't just think the same things you thought, 100, 200 years ago now. So like, but it's the perfect time to get like another independent party candidate to step forward. If there was enough people that would be wanting to separate from the too big right now is like a perfect time if you were to capitalize on a big enough vote. Even if you were trying to do it for the loss, just to get a loss with enough numbers to become a credible candidate for 2024, something like that. Like those are the steps you need.
Even that to just be like, on a community level, man, like just to get it in the mantra of people's spirits, like, yo, we need third party representatives everywhere. Like we need people to become conscious of the fact that like you could be a Democrat and still get sold out by your own people. You could be a Republican and get sold out by your own people there, you know what I mean? But like we want to qualify you from the ground up, and right now I don't have $1 million to talk to these big people, so we need to.
That's one of the big things that's a big thing that stops a lot of regular independent people from stepping up and putting their hat in the argument is the fees that come along with trying to run for any kind of office. There's a ton of fees that come along with trying to run for any office, and like it's almost like it's a built-in deterrent to stop people, like to stop just anyone from going. It forces you to have to be either at a certain class level to afford to do it, or have enough backing if you're not, in order to fund you for it. And it's something that's got to go in a sense, because it's part of a broken system. You gotta have the ability for more regular people to actually step up. Because, like we say, we dumb down. We don't even teach a lot of the things you would need to know in all of the lower education grades, and that kind of stops anyone who doesn't make it to college, which can be a lot of inner city type youths, from transitioning to any kind of a political avenue or getting the knowledge in order to even be able to get into that pool of sharks, And then you add on to that the layer of having to pay for it. Like you gotta be able to pay to run for these offices. Right. Like that's a fucked up system right there,
It's not set up for the normal average show.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's made to just keep the two big guys running, and no one else can really get in there and play the game.
Yeah, something's gonna change, man. Something's gonna have to. I've heard of some people talking about like there's gonna be like an internet bill of rights. So which is
I
exciting.
don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's interesting. I'd have to hear more about that one.
Yeah, some people don't. It's actually, it came through QAnon. I know everybody conspiracy theorists, the QAnoners. I hope QAnon is real, but even that stuff scares me. That stuff is like,
man. Sometimes it's like 9 out of 10 of them, you're like, yeah, and then they hit that next one, it's like,
there's a lot of them.
that's a little out there, man.
Yeah.
But I also love those types of things too.
Yeah, I just want to see the bad guys go down.
A good conspiracy theorist has to be willing to reach it for all the way to the top.
Yeah,
everybody's
man.
involved. I'm willing to think everybody's involved. Nobody can be complete. We are all at the end of the day human beings. Whether we are citizens, government, you got power, you got money or not, we are human beings. So there is that layer of corruption is possible.
Absolutely. Imagine corruption with with power behind it, man. Corruption with money and power behind it, you can do limitless things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they're talking. Yeah, I've heard some people say that there's like, they want to propose the Internet Bill of Rights, which would help. Because
but how?
It's just like.
But in a sense, that would only have to be, like, an Internet Bill of Rights would only cover the governing countries where you are using that, in a sense. Like if a country didn't accept that, then the internet you're using it in, it doesn't count in a way. Unless we're talking about like, just for like the internet here in the United States type of thing. Because I can't imagine every country getting down and be with, as far as internet policy goes, and being like, yeah, this is cool. I don't think China would be like, yeah, Internet Bill of Rights, that's cool. Yeah.
I mean, they're already not.
Yeah, but it's definitely something I want to hear more about from the people that are trying to get that going.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of work.
So yeah, that is interesting. Like, how does that work? Does it work by like your internet service provider? What if you use like a VPN that protects, has you using like a, it says like your MAC address is something different or whatever it is. It changes your location settings. So then, if you're doing that, does that all of a sudden void that Bill of Rights?
I think from what I heard is like basically it's like what it is that like each individual on the internet, they have, like, if we say, all right, like America, right? Like you put your stake in the ground. I own this property. I can grow as many tomatoes as I want. Until the tomatoes start bringing in flies, and the flies start bringing in crocodiles or some shit. Who knows? Whatever. You know what I mean? At some point, it's like we all have to realize that, like, these people with like all of these followers have real power, and it's like they can influence shit to go a certain way, just like how the media can, and that's kind of what they're already doing it. And it's just like we kind of got to acknowledge that they are doing it, and they are doing it with an intention. Like, it's like, I'm sorry that the dude died, George Floyd. I'm sorry that he died, but his brother went on the internet posted after his brother died, saying this is all Trump's fault. I don't like Trump. I don't really care for him. But if somebody killed my brother, I wouldn't be talking about Trump. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to use my brother's death, God forbid, to be trying to push a political agenda. So that whole thing just makes me feel like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I've touched on that a little bit in the past, where like I'm 100% down for the cause. Like it's with George Floyd, like it's a tragedy, like and that cause is 100% legit. And it's, even if it's not, like, some people try to say he's not the best martyr. Like, even if you don't want to say he's the best martyr, it doesn't matter. Like, at some point, like, it's got to happen. It doesn't matter who it is, it's got to happen.
At some point, it's wrong.
But it seems like somewhere along the line, it's been politicized, and it's all being targeted more towards, like, a political agenda as opposed to what they're really trying to get out of it, which is change.
Without a doubt, it feels like it's a political thing. They've it's completely wiped away. It cured Corona.
It's sad. It's sad how it sucks because like you don't want it to be true, but it would be sad for it to be that easy for a political party or, whoever it is to hijack a cause and, aim it in a direction that they want and use it for something that they want, like that would be horrible.
But that's what they did in Germany. That's what they did. Like, that's exactly what they did. But we don't read Mein Kampf. We just read, Hitler was a bad guy. He didn't like the Jews. That's it. Write it down. No, like, he had a whole strategy. He had test players on the board. He knew how to make the propaganda tell stories this way so that they came out this way and appeal to people that way. Like, there were strategic things that he did. And we don't study it like that, but some people, a lot of people actually do, but the common man doesn't. But these powerful people do. Even Trump has studied that stuff. He's come out. He sounds a lot like Reagan with his like nationalist kind of rhetoric. He's like a lot like a Reagan, Nixon, Reagan kind of. He appeals to that, to that demographic and his hard stance and
that cowboy.
Yeah, and listen, I don't really like Trump like that, but I don't like else. I don't like Biden. I don't like any of them. So I'm not here to defend either one of them. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's apparent that these people have more knowledge of how to manipulate the masses than the masses really want to take into account. We have to really look at them. They're manipulating us, man. How are they doing this to us?
I mean, that's the worst part is that, in an age of everyone being woke, and I'm not the biggest fan of the term woke, but whatever, it's not the worst, but the meaning of it that's like important. And, in the age of everyone being woke, it just seems like, man, there's so much that seems to be slipping past us that's like the general theme doesn't seem to be catching on to, in a sense. And that's
I'll tell you what really woke me, man. Because we all from New York. We all suburban kids. Like, we all already kind of feel like at the system. We grew up on hip hop. I see you guys spray paint. Like, we already know.
Fuck the cops growing up for me, man. Like, I've never been a fan of cops or any of this shit, man.
Yeah. It's already like. But what really woke me up was just like the science of things. It's just like anytime I noticed that, like, anytime pop culture gets a hold of it, it's already has had its spin on the good part about it, and it's already being spun back into like, it's a little good, but here's it's going to be packing a lot of our agendas with it as well. We're gonna make you believe that you're now winning, but we're packing all of our stuff in it as well. For instance, like the vegan culture. I don't know if anyone's a vegan here.
My girlfriend's vegan. I've dabbled into veganism for a little bit.
I've been a vegan, and it's like, the vegan thing. When we're seeing like Dr. Sebi and all these people saying they're healing with the vegan diet and all this stuff, that's like a really powerful thing. That's really good for the people. It's like encouraging. But then when they tie, the fact that America is the #1 producer of soy in it, so now they can just give us tons of soy products and that's vegan. But like, soy is scientifically not good for us. Like,
not good for you.
It's just not good for you.
Especially in large amounts.
It's
Give
not.
me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So the fact that they haven't acknowledged that, it's just like, it's clear proof that, they slide in their own BS into the cosmos.
I love that you touched on that one, because I've thought this for the longest already, that it's so funny to me that things only catch on, in a sense, when they want them to catch on.
Absolutely.
And the whole vegan push has been going on for way longer than anyone thinks. And it got a lot of pushback and negativity originally, and didn't get a lot of, like, if you want to talk about it through, like, social media, it didn't get a lot of, like, retweets or, like, reposts or anybody giving, like, a lot of credit to it at all. And I always thought, like, well, why would they want that to make sense? Like, it defeats the purpose of the entire meat and dairy industry that we have going on here, which is a huge industry we have here. But then you see how much we transfer into soy, and then how much you start to see the companies that make milk and meat and eggs, they start to also branch off money into lines of vegan alternatives. And only then, when they're ready to roll out products, you start to see the entire vegan thing get more of a push. And it's good that it's getting a push, because I find it that it has a lot of beneficial things for your health, but it's only getting a push now, it seems like, when there's a lot of products that they can put out and make money on, where they can capitalize on it in a sense. And the bad part is that whenever they get into the mix where the big companies can capitalize on it, it's always the things that are bad for you. Everything's going to be packed with soy. Everything's going to be packed with all sorts of artificial supplement things, all replacement things that, you know, they'll be able to label a vegan thing on it. And for the casual person that's going to try to do the vegan thing and not want to look into the research of everything they're eating, they'll think, oh yeah, I'm being healthy, and they won't get healthy results from it because they're packing themselves with all these negative things. And that it's sad, you know, because it seems, again, like it's a money cycle there. Now that they can make money on it, it's like, all right, now it's okay, you know, give the vegan thing the push. Everyone's okay for that, you know, because we got the products to sell them.
Yeah, and it really just, it boils down to, I think at the end of the day, the most, the thing that I think that these people really worry about the most, probably like three things really. It's just like population control. I think that they worry about like the sun and like the sun heating up the world. And I think
you followed Tyson, what's his name? DeGrassi?
Nah.
What's that his name? Tyson DeGrassi?
You mean Neil Tyson?
Neil. Yes, Neil Tyson DeGrasse.
Nah, I don't
Neil
follow him.
deGrasse Tyson?
Yes, there we go. Come on, man. I'm like on my fourth squirrel over here.
Damn, bro.
But yeah, him. He talks about stuff like that. Like, people have been tweeting at him lately, like, hey man, everything going on in 2020, we up for any big events with the sun this year that we should know about?
Yeah.
And that was like just 2 days ago, and he was like, nope, we should be good. Like, nothing flaring up.
Yeah, we've been here for a while. We've been here for a while, man. And I think they worry about that, and I think they worry about I think their other thing is just to monetize sickness. You know, it's just monetized. It's just drugs. It's just
cure nothing, just sell treatment.
Yeah, they can cure nothing and just monetize on sickness, and the way they do it is just by messing up our environment. Chemtrails, 5G towers, radiation from our cell phones, and all of our food that's messed up. And it's just, all of our food that's messed up. And our ideologies, we don't really have like, we don't know what's what. We just know what they told us,
Yeah. Especially like here in America, we just are, you're raised on certain things. You just get used to it. You get conditioned, Whether you're a kid and you're growing up on bologna sandwiches, like you just get conditioned to eat that type of stuff. Or, not work out. If you're not an active kid, you're a video game generation. Like, you might not have been one of those kids that got out and did activities. And now, you might have all sorts of like health conditions that are because of that lifestyle you live. But they love that because now they can put you on insulin and sell you all these diabetes medications. You got to come to the doctor. You got to buy extra health insurance. Oh, and don't forget, we can legally show you commercials that sell medications ever since the 90s, which was never legal before that because, it's not right. Yeah.
It's crazy, man. And if you get a side effect, if you get, sick or die from it, we'll just change our corporate name.
And we could still practice and still make medication. Oh, and did we mention that, like, our medication doesn't even have to officially have been approved by the FDA to hit the shelves? It just has to be in the testing pool for the FDA. So as long as we get in the bottom stack of their papers, they don't even have to actually see it yet. We're good to start. Yeah, all that shit.
But trust us because we're the experts.
Yeah, exactly. So much shady shit that if you don't have a conspiracy theory, you are sleeping under your bed at this point.
I just don't get it, man. And that's the other part where it's just like, there's another person I follow on the internet. He's a scientist. His name is Ray P. And he talks about this thing called authoritarianism. And it's just basically like, when you are in an authoritarian state, you kind of either you follow orders until the point where you become the person who gives the orders and you make everybody follow as you once were told to. And it's like every individual, it's like we're all, it's just like, follow my way. No, my way is right. And it's like we all have like this like this
Ego.
embedded nature of authoritarianism, either the sufferer or the oppressor. We have it embedded in us because it's learned from your master. You learn from your master and you do it to others. So it's very scary, man. It's challenging to work with people and working on a society like that when you kind of are aware of it.
Hell yeah, it falls into the whole nature versus nurture thing where like you're raised seeing and learning certain things. So it's like whether you want to believe a certain way or not, like things are embedded in you just from the way that you've experienced and seen it because, you know, it's been exposed to you.
Exactly.
It's funny though, now, like now you see a lot of things going on with like statues that are being taken down and all. And a lot of them I actually agree with. Like certain ones is like, hey man, like, you know, like maybe we really shouldn't have some of these guys being immortalized, you know, or at least, and some of them might even not be depicted in the best fashion where it's like, yeah, this might stand for one thing, but the taste in which it was by the artist displayed might not be the best for like the time. But then some of them you get into the point where it's like, they take it down Winston Churchill shit over in England. And it's like, I don't know, guy, I don't remember him being like the bad guy. I thought he was like the good guy that, you know, fought Hitler and, you know, was, I don't know. Like it's kind of turning into a thing where like we're just ripping down history. And that's one of those things where it's like if you forget the bad things that have been done in the past, it's easier for people to do it again because you don't remember how that all started. You know, you're not constantly reminded of, hey, don't forget that back in the day, people around here did this. And, you know, you forget that after a while, after a few generations, and then it's like, you know, you're not looking for that. And then they can do it again, in a sense. And that's one of the things, like, if you even look at Germany, like in Germany right now, it's, there was like, after World War II and everything ended, like, I don't know if it's like I think it's like a UN or NATO. I'm not exactly sure which like international body oversees it, but Germany has to teach about the Holocaust and the Nazis and how that all went down. Like, and if they don't, they get in trouble. Like, they have to teach that going forward. Like, they can't not remind the generations coming up of what actually happened. Because they know, like, you know, if you don't, you know, history can repeat itself in a sense. You know, so it's one of those tough battles where, like, I understand, I totally understand parts of it though. Like, some of the shit is like, hey man, that shit shouldn't be up right there. Like, I think we could all agree on some of these things.
Yeah.
Try to be politically correct, but if
well, it just seems like a lot of things are just kind of being like politicized and pushed in order to make it easier for like certain powers to kind of take over in a sense. And it falls into the whole big tech companies that are in bed with like the government and all the lobbying and stuff, man. Like they kind of drive some of the laws that go forward, you know?
Yeah, I think that's like the part of the thing where it's just like, this is like why I'm like actively, like I plan on leaving here pretty soon, because it's like I just can't operate from the place that I want to operate from under like governance that I'm, you know, under like not my own governance, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's just too politically correct. It's too much of that, like, you know, at one point you guys gotta let your spirit like come in. It's just like, man, call out some bullshit when you see it. And, you know, and it's challenging for a person to do that. You know, it's challenging. It's challenging for me to do that. I'll say it like that. Like when it's, you know, when it's other people have things to lose that I'm around. You know what I mean? So that's why I understand like people in the government, they got like families, and there's a lot of people that know what's up, but they got a lot to lose. So it's hard.
You don't go against the tide.
Yeah.
And that falls into the whole human nature thing. Like, these are people up there that are, you know, like, we would love to think that all of our officials that we elect and have running stuff are these saints that are above any kind of, you know, human corruption. You know, like, people suck. Like, we all suck at the end of the day. It's sad, but it's the truest thing there is.
And that's
like
the thing too. It's like I've been I was thinking about that like last week. It's just like because you could develop a lot of hatred when you start going through these conspiracy theories, and it's just like, man, I hate these people. But it's just like, you think about like MK Ultra, you gotta put that into effect. You gotta do FBI, CIA, all these tortured kind of tactics. You never know what these people at the top have been through that has made them this way, that they want to now, like, you know, affect society the way they want to do it, you know.
And
they
you get to a
have
point
demons of
where
their own.
you get to a point where it's like, if it's been done for so long, how much do people have to lose or hide? You know, like maybe they aren't the scum of the earth, but they've been party to certain things that they know, like, all right, if this comes out, you know, like, you know, so they might, that's when like that human nature gives you more of a chance to not go against the tide, because you might, you know, go down with the ship.
Right. I heard that, I forget where I heard this from, that someone said that if like whoever goes to war with Israel, if ever they're attacked ever, they have like they have an atomic bomb pointed at every nation in the world. So it's like an automatic like reset. It's like if you ever start a war with Israel, everyone's dying.
Damn.
That's like that's like their defense. That's the way they have the world set up. Like,
damn. They over there playing what's that fucking board game? Where the whole world is like at war. What's Risk?
Crossfire.
They over there playing Risk. They're just like, fuck all of y'all. I don't care. Our foreign policy is this: fuck with us, we hit the reset button. That's it.
They're not playing no game. There's no in between. Like, if you come for them, if anyone comes for them, they're going at everyone.
They're like, how do we get everybody to protect us without having to really pay them?
Right.
Anybody fucks with us, you all die. So it's in your best interest.
Right.
Oh, man.
That's exactly how they have it set up. Apparently, that's what I've heard.
Damn, they need to unlock those parks in fucking Brooklyn then, man. What the fuck are they doing? Jesus.
Yeah, man. These are perilous times, bro. Who want to raise a kid now? Anybody?
Well, I didn't want
Everybody
one
I know
before.
is having kids right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, same.
I didn't want one before, so my opinion's kind of moved.
No, a few people. There's definitely gonna be a whole bunch of quarantine babies coming out.
That's a fact.
You know
That's a fact.
Baby boom like a mother. We talk about like population control. If that was their goal, they just fucked up.
They fucked up. That's a fact.
Jeez, that's crazy. How many babies are going to be in the next, was that around Christmas time, January?
Between January and May.
Yeah.
Tony, thank you so much for joining us, man. It's been a fucking
Thank you for having
blast.
me, man.
Yeah, dude, it was awesome having you in, man.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good chat.
We'd love to have you again. Is there any platform that you'd like us to promote for you? Anything you wanna put out there?
Oh man, thank you so much, bro. I'm squaring away some things right now, man. I got some records that I'm working on. Tony Mazz NYC. My fitness page is Get Me Tone. Right now, I'm just like going through a process of what it is that I actually want to be doing with these things. So I've changed a lot of my ideologies on the fitness thing. So now I'm structuring it where I want to be, I want to put out information that's going to be helpful to people and position it a certain way. So I've changed some ideas, and I'll be going through that in the next couple of months, like kind of like what it is that how I view like fitness. So I'm going through a change. I used to be like all about like really working out hard, and now going through the sciences, I've learned a little bit more. It's time to refine it up a little bit. And yeah, I'll always be doing music, man. I'll always be making music. Eventually, I'll have some stuff out when I get through this little spiritual writer's block I'm going through.
The inspiration will come.
It'll come, man.
I have no doubt.
It'll come, man. And I'll have some stuff. I'll let you guys know for sure. So thank you guys for having me, man.
Dude, thanks for coming on,
Thank
man.
you, man. We
take
look
care of
forward to all
yourself,
your work.
brother.
All right, y'all. You guys have a great one.
You too, man. Be
Take
safe
care,
out there.
Tony.
Take care.
Take care.